What's up, guys? Today we're going to be taking a pretty basic standardized test for most ironworker companies, tank welding companies. It's going to be a 1-inch beveled plate, 3G position, 7018 root filling cap. The biggest thing I've come to realize is these tank welding companies, it's all open root. With these ironworker companies, you get a back end strip, basically the same thing. In my opinion, the back end strip's going to be a little easier. You know, you don't have to worry about blowing through. All you have to do is pretty much tie the puddle to each side of the plate. So, but I mean, and also with the open root, you get the back grind or back gouge. So I guess both tests have, you know, the pros and cons. So I'm gonna walk you through what I recommend to do and what I've done in the past to pass these tests. So first things first, let's just clean these plates. All right, guys, I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of raining here in Virginia today, so we're going to be doing a little bit of shop welding. All right, so when you're cleaning these plates, it's pretty simple. You just want to focus on removing the mill scale and the rust about 1 inch away from the weld zone, or, you know, the bevel lines. Make sure there's nothing on your bevels. Make sure they're clean. I don't care how good of a welder you are, or how good of a welder your instructor thinks you are, or how good of a welder your girlfriend says you are. Just clean these plates, you know. Sometimes you're driving 12, 15, 20 hours to come take a welding test. The last thing you want to do is turn around and go home because you busted a bend test because you didn't clean off the plate properly, because you were too cocky or too confident because your cousin said you're the best welder. So just clean these plates. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. Even a little bit behind where the root's going to be, you will thank yourself. All right, so we got our plates all cleaned up. Let's go ahead and fit it up and get ready to weld out. I've been told by a lot of these guys at the shop before I've ever taken these tests to just slam the joint together, put in a good root, you know, penetrate deep, and just back grind the back. So that's what I've always been told. I mean, I kind of always put a little gap in because I feel like I'm cheating, but I've been told you can slam it. I've done it with a little gap. Either way, it gets back grinded, so I don't know. Maybe someone can tell me what their preference is and what they've heard, but that's just what I've heard, you know. So I kind of just met in the middle, put in a little gap. So if you got a flat surface, all you really got to do is lay these plates upside down, and they pretty much line up themselves. Again, if you have a flat surface. If not, you can kind of lay something underneath to kind of level it out. So let's go ahead and turn our welder on. We got our CT2050 by YesWelder. We're going to be running it at, say, 115 amps, right? Yeah, we got 1/8 rod, so let's try that. We are using our direct current electrode positive setup right now. So obviously the stinger's in the positive, the ground is in the negative. Let's go ahead and get this fit up. What you want is tack at the bottom, tack at the top, or vice versa, doesn't matter, and this thing will be ready to go. So let's go ahead and tack it up. All right, so once you got your plate all set up, fit up in the 3G position, you're gonna wanna get something called a runoff tab. These are nuts. Basically, you can just use any thick steel so you can tack at the end and the start of the plate. When they're at the start of the plate, you can kind of start off, you know, start the weld here, and then it'll be ready to go as you're starting. With these, with the end of the plate, it pretty much just allows you to run onto another surface so you don't have a droop at the end. So they're kind of important. They don't really bend at the beginning and the end of the plate, but it's nice to know that, you know, the test is good throughout the whole plate. So get you some of these, get you any basic steel to tack at the top and the bottom. They're called runoff tabs. All right, so for whoever's wondering why this guy's wearing a hard hat in his garage, I don't have a welding hood, so this is all I got. So just have to deal with that. Another thing, most of the time with these welding tests, you're probably gonna have to stand up. I bought a chair. I'm gonna use that chair. This is my house. I'm gonna sit down. So first things first, with this rod angle, a lot of people go in 90 degrees. You can do that. I think I naturally kind of tweak it down a little bit. I've heard someone say go in 90 and then 5 degrees, you know, down. I think that's what I do, but you know, straight in 90 degrees or 5 degrees down, I think you'll be good to go. With this open root, and when I went to welding school, we didn't do open root with 7018. So this is all like a learning experience on the fly that I had to learn for the first time taking these tests. You don't want to whip it like a 7018, but if it starts to keyhole, you know, because you're blowing through, kind of whip it away, let the puddle cool. I know you're not supposed to do that with 718, but that's just what I've done with, you know, taking into consideration that's going to get back grinded. So the only reason why I do that when it starts to keyhole big is because I know I'll grind out all the trash. But for the most part, if you can stick it in there and just slowly go up without having to do it, that's the key, you know? So let's go ahead and put a root in here and let's go from there. All right, so I don't know if you could tell, but also not a good habit to take glasses off when you're welding. But what I was doing was kind of really assisting it forward. It's kind of hard to penetrate through without blowing through, so you kind of just want to direct the heat away from it. You know, that's kind of how I was doing it. Let's see what this looks like. All right, so I forgot I had the hard rock on earlier. Let's check out this root up here. It's not too bad. So the main thing is you just want to try to tie into both sides without leaving any, you know, that's kind of pushing it what I just did there. But basically you just want to tie into both sides so you don't have any slag inclusions, because if you leave kind of like a little hole on the side, the pass on top of this can trap something, but I think we're good to go. Like I said, it's a little difficult putting in an open root with 7018. What you want to really do is just, you want to assist it kind of up, but you want to push in, you want to penetrate. So if you're not pushing in, you're not really going to penetrate to the other side, but I think this is good to go. We're going to put in a hot pass over this. All right, let's go ahead and put this hot pass in. All right, so this is my hot pass. This is gonna be the first pass after the root. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier is most of these test coupons are gonna be taken directly in the middle. So what you wanna do is stop right before the middle or stop right after the middle. And if you know, say I had a little bit of rod left, I probably, you know, burning that in, I probably would have stopped right on the middle. So I went ahead and just stopped, you know, just to tell you guys that. I was just thinking about it in my head. But basically you want to start and stop before the middle. So my next rod, I know for sure I'll end up here, so we'll be good. But it's kind of what you want your hot pass to look like. You want to tie into both sides. You know, you don't want to leave any holes on the side for the next pass to trap slag. So, and another thing, you want to wash onto the bevel. So don't just point in here, you know, kind of bring the rod touching the bevel. You know, you don't want to fill up the whole thing at once, but when you're going up, make sure you're touching the sides of the bevel. It should be good to go. All right, let's fill this up and we'll see what the hot pass looks like after. All right, so this is my hot pass. Definitely need to work on my starts. So basically, earlier when I said you want to wash onto the sides, pause it a little bit. So when you wash, pause. Wash, pause. And washing just means bring the puddle up a little bit, up the bevel. So as you're doing it, you want to pause a little bit, wait till it fills up, go Go to the other side, wash up a little bit, pause, and just do that. Basically, you're just doing this. You're tying in both sides. It's like a little weave. And that's pretty much it for the hot pass. I like to put another hot pass on top of that, pretty much like a big fillet weld, and then I'm going to start running some stringers. So let's put another pass just like this, and then we're going to start with the fill with the stringers. All right, guys, so this is my weave after the hot pass. So I got a root, hot pass, and then an extra little weave to, just fill in the rest. And like I said earlier, you really want to pause on the sides a little bit. Let it fill up before you start moving. That when you pause, it fills up, so there's no holes. Whenever you go too fast, let's say I went here and then went here, it doesn't fuse correctly, and you might have a little hole, pinhole, and then when you go to put in the fill with the stringers, that's when you can start trapping slag, and then that'll show up on a bend, that'll show up on an x-ray. So you really just want to pause, take your time. You ain't going nowhere. So this is pretty much what you want. Also, another thing, you want to keep these lines, these little lines on the side. That's going to be for your cap. It's going to help you out a lot on your cap. So whenever I put in my stringers right now, I'm not going to cover that up. I'm just going to go right to it. I mean, real close to where it's flush with that, but I want to leave that line on both sides. So with this one, I'll probably be able to fill it with 2 stringers. 1 stringer on one side, 1 stringer on the other side. Sometimes you have to do 3, but this is looking like I could probably make a nice bead right here and then 50-50 it on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and put 1 stringer in and show you what I'm talking about. All right, so remember, you want to save that little edge for your cap. So when I put this stringer bead in, I'm going to be saving that edge. I'm going to go right up to it, but I'm not going to cover it. I'll show you what I mean. Another thing I forgot to mention is when you're putting in this pass, leave room for the pass on the side of it. You don't want a little valley to where you're going to trap slag. So plan ahead for your next rod. Make sure you're leaving enough room for your next rod to be able to burn into. All right, so this is my stringer pass. As you can tell, definitely need to work on my starts. That could be a problem. But I left this line right here, and I left just enough room so I can burn a rod into there, 50-50 this, and leave that edge. So basically, you want to be able to penetrate in there without trapping slag while covering half and leaving this line. So it's a lot to think about, but once you know how much a puddle covers, you can kind of go from there. So just run a bunch of stringer beads, practice, and you'll be able to know how much room you'll be able to have on test plates. So let's go ahead and fill that up. All right, so on this fill pass on the other side, I didn't do a really good job at saving that edge, but I'm just gonna have to deal with it on the end cap. It's basically just to give you a little guideline for your last pass, but if you do get rid of it accidentally, you're just gonna have to deal with it. So I got 2 fill passes in there, and now we're ready to cap it off. Same thing, you wanna plan ahead for your next rod, so I know that this is gonna be a 3-bead cap, so I'm gonna have to just leave enough room to, I can go 1, 2, and then 3 right on the edge of that line. So let's go ahead and start capping this out. All right, so as you can see, this is pretty bad. I need to get back in the booth, fix those starts. Other than that, I don't see any porosity, I don't see any pinholes, I don't see any undercut. Let's see, I would say this would be good to bend. It's ugly, you know, we all need practice. I haven't done this in a really long time, but no excuses. I'm gonna show you guys how to back grind. Back grinding pretty much is removing all this trash with a hard rock or an arc gouger and just putting in a clean pass, fill or cap. I'll show you guys how to do that. All right, so I want to stop so I can let you know what to look for. You want to see nothing but silver. When you see stuff like this, that's all trash. So obviously go in deeper until all that turns silver. All right, guys, so once you finish back grinding and the whole back of the plate is silver with clean metal, it's time to fill in what you grinded out. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so this is what your plate should look like on the back after you finish back grinding and welding. So just remember, don't start doing this until you back grinded until it's completely silver, because you know, you can run a pass over some trash, but it doesn't get rid of it. It just stays in there with these 7018 rods. So you really want to make sure when you back gouge and then weld over that, it's all clean metal. It should look like this at the end. And as far as the performance by the CT2050 by YesWelder, I think it did absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's been running for the past hour, hour and a half, no hiccups. I think it burned these 7018 rods great on this 1-inch plate. I mean, no hiccups at all. I recommend this welder for a beginner, someone who is starting out, someone who's already experienced. I mean, it's a great welder, for sure worth the money. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video on this 1-inch bevel plate test. As you can tell, I'm not the best welder. I have a lot of practice to do, a lot of knowledge to get, and a lot of advice to receive, because I'm not the best, you know, and I wasn't born knowing everything, and I'm not a master welder. I'm just a guy who loves to do it and a guy that loves to help people out. So, you know, out of these 10, 12-minute videos, as long as like 1 minute, 30 seconds of that video helps someone else out, that's all I do is for, you know. I work all the time. I get about a week off every now and then, and I'd like to take that time to help as much people as I can out, you know. I can't really get into detail at work on, you know, how to do something, so I can take the time for my personal time and actually help someone else out, and that's what I want to do. And, you know, if you guys have recommendations or advice of something I could have done better, you know, I'll take it. I love when someone takes time out of their day to tell me something to get me better. You know, you can't take all criticism as, you know, insults. Some people just are giving you their knowledge, and even if they say it in a hard way, you have to learn to take it and use it to become better. That's free knowledge. That's a free level up, you know. So as long as you can take that, you'll become the best person, welder, friend that you can be, you know. You'll always become better if you can take someone else's advice. And as far as videos, recommendations, tips, you guys can comment what you want. You know, I'll do whatever you want. You know, bevel plate, pipe, you know, stringers, whatever you guys need. You know, not everyone has someone to help them out. Not everyone can afford school. Not everyone can afford, you know, taking time off to learn stuff, you know. So that's what I want to do. I want to be able to help as many people out as I can. You know, that'd make my day, just helping someone else out that doesn't have, you know, the ability to just get knowledge from somewhere, whether it be at school or, you know, people around them. Not everyone has figures in their life to give them advice. So I want to thank YesWelder again for sending me the CT2050. I think it welded this thing perfect. Very good welder. Anyone looking for a badass welder, I mean, YesWelder probably has, all their welders are great, but this CT2050, I love it. So I want to thank you guys again. You know, I appreciate everyone for subscribing, watching my videos, you know, taking time out of your day to, you know, like my videos and just comment. You know, I love this stuff, man. So I appreciate everyone, appreciate YesWelder, and I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you for watching.